come here. Turn around, look at the ladies and gentlemen. Now, see this young lady, sir? She wishes that she could help you with one of your paintings.
Good idea.
Do you think I may leave her in your charge?
Safely leave her in my capable hands here.
Right.
So you piqued my interest earlier. You mentioned Rolf Harris. What was your involvement with the Rolf Harris case?
Well, with Rolf Harris, I met Rolf Harris a number of times.
Really?
And his wife, very strange woman. She has all these beads in her hair, and she's quite an extraordinary looking woman. Mr. Harris, he exhibited artwork at a friend of mine's art gallery. He sold his artwork for a lot of money. He knew a lot of people I knew socially, and I didn't know him well, but he's quite he was quite a social person. You know, he was very friendly with Cilla Black. She was extraordinarily upset when he was convicted, if you remember. I don't know whether you saw she was leaving the Ivy restaurant, and she got very angry when she was confronted. Miss Black she's no longer with us, but she was a curious woman. Anyway, there were people like her. He was very friendly with lots of, he painted the Queen. I was contacted at the time when Jimmy Savile was exposed for being what he was when he was dead by a lady who claimed to be a victim of Rolf Harris. And she was one of the people who helped secure his conviction. So no, Rolf Harris, I was very interested in following that case, and equally the fact that his daughter, rather like Max Clifford, who I also knew, and his daughter threatened to sue me at one point. She said I damaged her reputation by mentioning the fact that she bought the goodwill of his business. And these two, I just thought, were very appalling, self-entitled abusers. And weirdly, those kind of people all connect back to the people currently supporting Miss Maxwell. We're talking the same era of people. They're all the 80s, 90s people. And they thought they were above the law. And I think what we have to now realize is those people are not above the law. And this, actually, the benefits of this social media and the modern world is people can connect the dots. And people like the gentleman Ryan, who was on your show the other evening, Ryan Dawson, he's good at connecting the dots. You have to have people like that. And the links between Rolf Harris and Max Clifford, Rolf Harris as Max Clifford and Owen Oyston, Stuart Hall, all of these people were the same circuit. They were all directors of the same companies.
Is Simon Cowell in the mix?
I think Simon Cowell was a friend of Max Clifford. It doesn't make him guilty of anything. I don't know what Simon Cowell has many interesting things in his past, but I don't believe he's involved in that myself, but I don't know. I have no idea.
So you said that they all thought they were untouchable from that era, this clique. One did prove to be untouchable, and that is Jimmy Savile. How was he able to get away with it for so long?
Well, Jimmy Savile was clever because he made sure he had friends in every element. So Jimmy Savile had what he called his Monday Club. They were the police officers that came round to his flat in Leeds. Jimmy Savile had Margaret Thatcher, who tried to get him ennobled, I think it was 14 times or something. Every time her advisors said no. but he kept pestering her. Jimmy Savile had access to Broadmoor. Jimmy Savile had Edwina Currie. Jimmy Savile had Prince Charles. Jimmy Savile had everybody. He found his way because he was clever. He knew that if he knew somebody in every circuit, he'd always have a way out. He'd go, well, and anytime, when he was questioned by Louis Theroux in that car when they were driving in Scotland, he was asked, have you, people say things about you. He said, they can say whatever they want about me. He said, if they say any more, I'll bring them all down.
Wow.
And that was, and you watch the Louis Theroux program. I advise you to see it. And you will see him say that in the back of a car, and he was open about it. He was open about everything he did. He just thought that he could just carry on regardless. And people like Max Clifford enabled these people with their fake stories. So Max Clifford would trade a story. That recent program on the BBC or Channel 4, whatever it was, I don't know why they showed it. It was pointless. Said, oh, he just did this and he did that and he did. No, he traded X to protect Y. They knew that was their game. They actually viewed it as a game. So they all worked together. So if you look at this man, Owen Oyston, he owned Blackpool Football Club. He owned Miss World. He married the Miss World twice. She's currently divorcing him for the second time. He went to prison for rape. He was the biggest donor to the Labour Party in the 80s. The board of his company, Stuart Hall, another one who went to prison. William Roach, who was accused, but the Coronation Street actor. Who was the other? There was another one, and Max Clifford was his PR man. They all worked together. They were all photographed together. They all supported one another. And this is how Jimmy Savile operated. The same reason was because we can. And Jimmy Savile couldn't have existed now because there would have been some person on the internet saying, no, 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 no. And eventually somebody would have to listen. I don't think he could have got away with it in this era. But back then, he had the police, he had royalty, he had politicians, he had business people, he had BBC, he had everything.
So did Savile prey on fans, young girls?
He preyed on everybody, dead or alive.
What do you mean by that?
Well, he liked visiting the morgue.
Is that
he
been
was
verified?
It's been reported on many occasions. He loved visiting the morgue.
And what would he do in the morgue?
Terrible things, supposedly, but he did terrible things to there were victims who complained who'd been suffering in hospitals who'd got cancer. He'd abused them. He didn't care, young, old, man, woman, boy, girl. He was unique in that sense because he was, Jeffrey Epstein liked young girls. Jimmy Savile just liked anything. That's the difference with these.
Do you think he just got sicker and sicker over time because what he was doing in the beginning perhaps didn't get him off anymore and it just got weirder and weirder?
I wouldn't want to even go there. I have no idea why he would.
I mean, to say the morgue and things like that's pretty extreme, isn't it?
But that's what he did.
It seems like you'd be looking, you'd need more and more weirder and weirder to get off, perhaps.
Well, I think maybe the power complex went to his head and, he was given the keys to Broadmoor by Edwina Currie. She allowed him free reign to go and visit a mental hospital. Why would you do that with a television presenter who made sort of sick jokes and jumped up and down and went running and had a bed in the back of his Range Rover? He had a double bed in his Range Rover. He had a van with a bed in it. This man was very, very odd. And he was excused because nobody dared not excuse him. Esther Ranson, why didn't she say anything? There are many people out there who could have asked questions, but because of this man being some national treasure.
I mean, there's even a video of him on Top of the Pops on YouTube right now where he just puts his hand
up the skirt of anybody.
Yeah, and she jumps.
Yeah.
So, why did the BBC protect this predator?
Because they'd created the monster and they didn't want to destroy them. If they destroyed their cash cow, then it would look very stupid on them. I guess. I don't know. But I think now it's much more transparent because of social media. I think the world has changed because, frankly, information spreads quicker. So back then, he could just go, well, talk to my friend Prince Charles, or he could have gone, well, talk to my friend Edwina Currie, or talk to my friend Margaret Thatcher, or he could have talk to my friend the policeman. And that's how he was able. He was a genius in some ways, because evil genius, but that man had a monstrous brain, and he obviously had he probably didn't even care what he was doing by the end. He just wanted to do it for the sake of it. He was a thoroughly evil man who was enabled by people just looking the other way.
And because he raised so much money for charity, did that give him a pass in the public eye?
Well, I guess that helped. But that was just another part of his way of stopping things. But look at look at Rolf Harris now. Rolf Harris got out of prison, and what did Rolf Harris go and do? He went to a school playground and started waving at the children.
No.
Yeah. So in Henley or wherever it is, he was waving at the children. And they are so delusional, these people. They actually still think they're famous and relevant. Gary Glitter, all these people, all the time they're in prison, they're making money.
Because people playing
Rolf Harris,
music.
Yes. So Rolf Harris makes money from all those tunes of his. Gary Glitter, that film, The Joker, the music was Gary Glitter's music.
That's the most recent one, is it?
Yes. So anyone who watches that film is supporting Gary Glitter.
Oh, that's a shame. It was a good film too.
Yeah, but that's where we get up to. It's quite unbelievable how these people are enabled, but we are partly responsible ourselves for allowing this to happen.
Yeah.
If we say we don't want to hear these people anymore, the likes of Rolf Harris should be turned off. There are people who I know of who owned Rolf Harris paintings and they wanted to sell them, and the auctioneer said, burn them. Best thing you can do. Who wants that rubbish? And it was rubbish anyway. It was nobody ever liked his paintings in the first place.